2 and 3. Here we are. Hello ladies and gentlemen. That's not a really bad bike, I would say. HB4 race limited BMW bike. But I'm pretty sure today you're not watching our video because of this famous bike. We'd like to show you what we got in our building pipeline to actually launch and show at the Swiss Motor Exhibition. Let's have a look to our 6 brand new custom bikes. So the first bike we'd like to present is a bike most of you or some of you for pretty sure do already know from beginning. That's our Polizia race bike, a famous 8-mile vintage drag race bike where we take part in the Sultans of Sprint. We did have some challenges with traction. Some of our competitors did have a better traction, so we decided to have a rebuild actually to make it faster. And overall, you can immediately see the bike is longer, flatter, slimmer, and dear gentlemen from Sultans of Sprint, pretty sure it's very, very fast. So take your warm scarves to the next race. About the details, we have prolonged the rear swing arm of about 15 centimeters to avoid that we constantly get our wheelies once our NOS system is active. The supercharger is the same as we had last year. Also our fuel injection programmable with launch control and quick shifter. So technically untouched. To get a flatter, slimmer and longer line, we decided to build a completely new gas tank made out of aluminium. Only half part is gas, the rest is kind of space for electronic equipment. Also new is the very slim and aggressive front fairing. We have shortened the front fork again. We have another steering wheel angle to get this flat, long and straight line. Once we announced that we're going to reshape Polizia Uno, I got some emails from some fans of us where are all the details. It was such a cool bike, so some of them we have transported into the new bike. Something brand new is this one. That's actually a titanium metal plate coming from my broken collarbone. It was broken 4 times, and kind of a talisman, we decided to have this as a braking lever to make sure I not crash again and break the other collarbone. The biggest detail, our friend Andreas from Hamburg, that was his first reaction. Where the fuck is your baby equipment? For sure we have built it in. We still have the 2 parts you've seen on the Polizia Uno, and we got them a showcase, and actually the showcase is also lightened by LED lights to make sure we're racing safe. On the other hand, some details like some of you might seen the Puch sign on the Polizia Uno. Polizei, it's still the same police bike from the Swiss Police Department, will stay the same. We have built a new seat, a smaller tail, and here you can see the bike is now called Polizia 1.9. We have planned the 2.0 version. Unfortunately, we didn't have A, enough money, B, enough time, so we decided to make it close to 2.0. So that's Polizia 1.9 taking part again next year on the Sultans of Sprint European Championship. And hopefully we're going to see us on the podium again. That's bike number 1. Bike number 2, it's gonna have at least as a bad and angry view once it's finished. It's our, I think, further 4 R1200 RLC. This one is probably the most radical R1200R we have built in our lifetime. Special focus on the front. There you're going to see the most expensive one can buy for money. That's the Öhlins FGR, kind of a world championship front fork. That alone is about $13,000. We have Brembo race brakes on it, like they use on also on the World Championship. And because we have a special fork, we didn't have the chance to use the original fork clamps. So Suter Racing, famous for Moto2 bikes, has built us brand new front fork clamps. And because it's going to be on the racetrack, we have carbon fiber wheels from BST. And the people who know us, they know that crazy is not crazy enough. So we have built in NOS system to the bike. The most expensive clutches and brake pumps you can have, carbon fiber wheels. And if you look to the rear part, I'm sorry, the front fairing is all in the painting shop. The rear fairing might look familiar to some of you. It looks pretty similar to our first Radical racer from R1200R. That was Goodwood. And actually the owner of this bike is also the owner of the Goodwood. So that's kind of a 3D scan of the original Goodwood tail fairing. And then it was printed in 3D processes by Formula One team from Sauber in Switzerland to make it cheaper as the alloy fairing in case it crashes the bike. The bike is planned to use on the racetrack. However, it's going to have two small lights. So the owner has also kind of an apartment abroad, Switzerland. So he said might be on the street somewhere else. So that's our most radical R1200R. Price range is about pretty much the same as we had on the HB4 race. That is bike number 2. Looks a bit ugly at the moment. Make sure you have a look at it once it's finished with all the fairings. It's gonna look exceptional. Yep, that's right. Bike number 3 is another K100. Last year we have built the K100 with the wooden application, alloy front and rear cockpit. From a boat builder. Now this time, as you know us, we'd like to build something really different. And as you can see, this bike's topic is 80s and endurance racing. And so special the paint scheme we are proud of. If you remember, Jaguar Formula One team, they used kind of this color scheme, which I think fits perfect to the 80s design. And of course, we'd like to build race bikes, street legal. This one RPM indicator, which will also act as a speedo. And for sure, we're going to have kind of aircraft engine start switch. If you look around to the front, that's also kind of this works or factory 80s endurance team with these kind of alloy fairings over the lights. And for sure, you need to have PVM wheels, and for pretty sure they need to be in golden color. The tail we're especially proud. That's from a Swiss builder who made fairings in the 70s and 80s for all the race guys in Switzerland. And this is an original tail. We have adopted, of course, with some alloy pieces and the smallest tail light on the world you can use. So even if that bike looks pretty radical, that's Swiss street legal once it's finished, and finish would mean in about 1.5 weeks time. Bike number 3, K100, called 24 Hours. So next bike in the lineup is again a 90. Once we have started 4 years ago with customizing, especially 90s, so we're quite famous in customizing of 90s. Last year we have built a scrambler called Le Touquet. This year we have taken R90 Pure because no one or almost no one else touches the Pure because it has the taste of a cheap bike. So this is going to be a pretty radical street tracker. We have used the standard painting scheme, but of course with some nice adoptions to make it look more aggressive. We have matched the color, bronze line, with the color of the wheels we got. It's going to have a very small, tiny tail, a very short rear fender, really looking like being born and designed for racetrack. And the guys who have seen our last year's flat tracker, the Flachkopf, for sure this will look pretty much the same. It's going to have a number plate with integrated front lights, a very short fender. That's it. Pretty radical street tracker based on an R90 Pure, and again, street legal for Switzerland. So beside K100 and R90, we are also known for our 2-valve boxers. This year we have built a very special R90-7, and it's for a customer. We have decided to get away from the look you see most probably all over, and from the look we have built up until now. The basic idea was to get a very clean and very understatement, old school R90 bread style. On the bike itself, I mean, you have recognized that's an old so-called toaster tank, which is pretty tough to find and even more tough to pay. But you see some applications we usually don't do on any of our bikes. We don't have to like crosses like that or to get any indication of skulls and death and so on. So we're not that style. This bike has a special history. That's why we've built it that way. It really belongs to an Undertaker. So that's his profession. And he is working in the graveyard called Nordheim. So the bike is called Nordheim Undertaker, and has some application remembering on his job. Some details are not yet finished, but the owner did find some memorials like this nice piece which gonna replace the BMW logo, and this little part here will be put on the front engine cover. So that's really a special graveyard bike for an Undertaker, called Undertaker. Classic, slim, clean. Our this year's 2-valve boxer, we're very proud of that one, to get kind of a new style direction. That's bike number 5. So for bike number 6, we're going to do something we have never done before. We're going to show you right in the workshop, because A, it's not that far as all the other bikes, and B, it's kind of a secret project. But since you're our Facebook followers, you're going to see it, a sneak preview from a secret bike we'd like to show you in a minute. Yes, you are looking at original Spitfire instruments from World War II aircraft, and the meaning behind this, you're gonna look at our probably biggest custom project we have ever built. It's called Spitfire A, because its topic is aviation aircraft, Spitfire aeroplane, and B, the bike will really spit fire. We're gonna build in a fire flaming system into the exhaust. But that's only the smallest part. As you can see, if you look overall to the bike will completely be covered in alloy, kind of a torpedo shape, and you will immediately see that the topic is going to be World War II fighter aircraft. All alloy parts made from hand. We had to lower the front frame and stretch it. We had to cut down the front fork to get all these alloy pieces done in a very low frame. And yes, it's not going to be a piece of art for a showcase. For sure, we're going to race that bike. And most of you know our so-called works pilotin or works rider or factory rider. It's Amelie Mooseder. She will race that bike this season in the new Sultans of Sprint factory class, where we are supported from BMW Motorrad in Munich. And as main sponsor, we have TW Steel watches from Holland. which have invested and will fly that project under the name Son of Time, which is their kind of custom page. So we're really proud of this bike. As you can see, it's not going to be finished for the Swiss Motor Show, which will take place in 2 weeks' time. We're going to see the raw build and to show what the manual hand piece is behind of such a big project, but piloted by Emily. The first race is end of May, 1920 May in Monza at the Reunion. That's the official launch of the bike. If you like to see more of the build and the background, follow us and follow TW Steel. So that's our biggest piece and bike number 6, by the way. And we show that on the Swiss Motor Show. So these were the 6 new bikes we're going to build, finish and show at the Swiss Motor Show. And yes, I know already your comments, you're never gonna make it. It's only 1.5 week time until you got the show. That's true, but like every year we're gonna finish all the bikes. Yes, the paint job will be not very dry once we go into our booth, but I promise you all 6 bikes except this one will be finished and will look amazingly. If you don't trust me, follow us in about a week's time. Wednesday, February 21st, we're going to show you all the bikes you have seen in their final status. So stay tuned, watch us, and thanks for watching our sneak preview. See you next time. Bye-bye.